Right, we're going to fit this manual bilge pump just so I can get rid of all the water. Every time I go away and come back, the boat's got water sitting in it. And this is too low down for the automatic bilge pump. I'll explain it as we go. So, always have a manual bilge pump anyway on a boat, just in case we lose power, lose battery power. Great backup. So what I've done is I've fastened it to a piece of wood, and I'm going to stick this piece of wood to the side of the boat. We are above the waterline, so I could have gone through the hull of the boat, but I don't really want the bolt, so you don't want to put any holes in the hull that you don't need to. Again, this is obviously above the waterline because we're going to have the exit through the hull, but we don't want the nuts sticking out the side of the boat. So what we're going to do is we're going to stick that. I did use some old fiberglass, which just fell off. So for today, I'm going to use this. Where is it? Power grab and bond. This stuff. Stick it. This stuff is absolutely excellent. It's not cheap, but it's really good. You use it for building material or anything. So I'm going to use that to stick the wood to the side of the boat today, and then eventually I'm going to fiberglass over it anyway for extra strength and cosmetics. Right, so that's the outlet done, and we've just got these couple of temporary stays just holding it in place while the bond sets. We're going to do the intake pipe now, and we want it to run down and take all this water out. I've actually just dropped my phone in that water. I think it's going to be okay. Maybe time to get a GoPro and stop using my phone to make these videos. So, intake pipe work. We're going to use this plumbing overflow pipe, 21.5mm. I've got a little arrangement to set up, which I'm going to do now, show you how that's done. Right, so this is what we're using, these 21.5mm overflow fittings. We're going to glue them together. They're the weldable type, the solvent weld. And we're going to use these little valves. These are actually 22mm valves, but I've read online that the fit on this and make a tight fit on this 21.5, so we'll see how it goes. Here we go. So that's the pieces cut for the first part of the inlet pipe work. So I've split it into a T, and it's going to split into two with a valve on each side, which I will explain when it's in the boat. It's just so that I can independently choose which bilge keel I'm emptying. You can see where I've fiberglassed over the ends and put some matting down just to add a bit of strength. We had big gaps under them ones at the front, so I've jacked the outside of the boat up to close the gap up, or close the gap up a little bit, and then I filled it with epoxy and put some matting down just to give it a bit of strength. I'm not too worried about this side. That side wasn't anywhere near as bad, but this side, we had big gaps for some reason. So that should add a bit of strength to it before we put the floor down. The fiberglass is set overnight, dried quite good. See that there? A few air bubbles in there, but don't really matter. It'll still serve the purpose for what we're doing. So we'll give it a light sand, and we're going to put some paint on that. My yard's a bit of a mess at the moment. We've converted the garage, so I've lost my workspace, and I am going to build a workshop out here in the garden, but for the time being I'm I'm just using this old shed to work from. I actually took a couple of hours out yesterday to tidy this up and put in this makeshift workbench just so we've got somewhere to mix the fiberglass and the GRP resin and that, and so just a workspace that's kind of safe. We're kind of tripping over ourselves working on the floor. Let's get some paint on it. That's taking too long. I'm going to bring on the electrical tools. It's quicker. So, we're not going for like a dead smooth finish, it's rough in here anyway. All I'm doing is I'm just keying it to rough it up a little bit so the paint can key to it. Just so the paint can stick to it really, give it a bit of a rough surface. Take the shine off it. Remember the old wooden flooring that we took out the boat? Well, we jet washed it off, if you remember, a few months back, and we left it in this area to dry. So here it is. What I've done is I've flipped it upside down and I've just rolled it all the underside with a marine gloss. It's actually this stuff, Teal and Mackerel marine gloss. This is an old tin of paint that I've had sitting in the shed for probably 20 years. So it doesn't really matter the colour. All I've done is I've given it just a single coat, just capture all the edges and the underside. Obviously this wood's upside down right now, just so that when it goes back in the boat it's got a little bit of protection from moisture on the underside. Hopefully it'll never see any water, but if it does again, at least now we've got a bit of protection. All I've done is apply that with a hand roller. Quite quick really, didn't take long at all. Birds have shit on my wood, look. That's the downside to having trees in the garden. Let's clean that off before I put it down. Well, it's rained for the last hour or two and you can see how the water's just sitting on there now. It's beading, so that just kind of goes to show by putting a lick of paint on the wood, it seals it, stops it from getting damp and absorbing moisture. So for the sake of a coat of old paint, it certainly ain't going to do any harm. Start to put the floor back in. Let's see if we can remember how it went. We're not fixing it in at this point, we're just going to get it put back in place so that we can work out which way around it went, and I want to put in a couple of inspection hatches right at the very back where the manual bilge pump is going to pick the water up from. I'll explain once I've done it. Here we go. We got that wrong. Let's try again. We're having a nightmare. So I've got the pieces of wood in, I've had them in, and I can't get them to fit. So I've taken them back out. I've tried them every which way I can, which way around, flipped, blue side up, the lot. This piece, the big piece, which is way too heavy to lift by myself, but I'm managing. That's pretty good the way it is now. However, the other piece don't fit, and that's because whoever made it originally, it didn't have it that way around. They had it flipped the other way, and it's just crap the way it fits. And I'm going to have to do something about it. I think I'm going to put it back the way it was, and I'm going to trim the ends off to square the ends up, because as it is, I have no idea what they was thinking when they did it, but they've done it. So, and this stuff's expensive. It's I just priced it up at B&Q. I think a 2 foot by 1 foot piece, which is no good to anybody, is 32 quid. God knows what an 8x4 sheet is. There we go. I want to identify these trimmers right across the wood and mark it out. So what I'm going to do is I am going to pull the wood back, mark the trimmers on the side of the boat, on both sides, and then run a line through so we can see like this. Once you've transferred your lines onto your piece of wood at both ends, if you've got one, you can run one of these laser levels and just make it so that it picks your line. You see the green line there? And that'll run a straight laser line right through. Then just mark that line. If you haven't got one of them, get one. Only about 50 quid, if that. You can get them even cheaper. Absolutely brilliant, I use it all the time. Now my lines are all marked in. Everything I build from now on, they'll be square to the trimmers, and saves another purpose as well. When I take it out and put this wood back in, I know exactly where all my trimmers are for my screw lines. I'm going to cut a piece of wood to fill that gap and square the ends off. Crazy that anybody would actually cut it like that to start with. Right, that battery Ryobi circular saw junk, absolute crap. So we've been to Screwfix and we've got a 40 quid 241. The battery one just didn't up to it. The battery one just didn't up to it. Wow, the difference is incredible. If you've got one of them, throw it in the bin. So, see some of these bits that I've cut off? Look at the quality on the edge. Look how good the wood is on the inside. That is good solid ply. So, and we can use some of these bits for some of the structural work that we're going to do at the back. Waste not, want not. That looks better. I've squared the ends off, so the square with the trimmers and the rest of the boat. I've squared that back off. And I've opened that seam a little bit so that they're square to each other, and it makes it just that little bit wider. I can now cut a piece to go in there and everything will be nice and square. That's the outer deck. Also now the edge lands on a trimmer. Before this had a overhang to about here, like in the middle of no man's land. So if you'd have stood on it, it would have pushed down, it would have been springy. So now by taking it back, we're halfway there on the trimmer. So the next piece, we can make a new piece of wood to go across there. Same thing, we've got to build something for it to land on. But at least now we've got a nice trimmer on the edge. Right, it's getting a bit late in the day now, but before we finish for the night, we're just going to put this top coat on this area, do the white, and then that'll be the final coat. And then we'll see how it covers over the grey, and that means we can get the bilge pump on that mounted in the morning. This will dry overnight. They recommend 12 hours between coats. So it's been about 10 hours since we did the grey, so see how that covers. The white's covered pretty well. I think really probably wants 2 coats, but I think for the inside of the boat, it's not getting 2 coats. Just 1 coat will do. Exterior will get 2 coats obviously, but looks alright to me. So I'm just stripping some of the offcuts into strips to fill the gap in the floor. And when I cut into this this wood, look how good it is on the inside. See, I remember how crap that wood looked when I first got the boat. solid on the inside. I'm getting wood for the wood. So cutting a little hole in here for these little access hatches that I got off eBay. That'll drop in there. We'll recess that a little bit so that sits in flush, and then they're screwing, and that gives us access to the to where the bilge pump is taking the water from in the bilges, just so that if the bilge pump ever does block up in the future, we can pop that hatch out and have a look, see what's in there. Well, we've got the flooring nice and square. It's not screwed down, but like I said earlier on, we've got all our lines so we know where the trimmers are, so we can screw it in. Bilge pumps in, all fastened up and working, and now you can see we've got these two little access hatches. Makes sense if I pull them out. There you go. You can see why I put them in now. Gives us access to that bilge. Make sure that end don't block up. I'll screw these down. See how I've made a recess so that they're just below flush. By the time we put fiberglass on here, that'll lift them up a little bit, so they should end up pretty much flush. Right, that concludes the end of video 3. We've done the flooring and we've got the bilge pump in. Quite happy with that. I'm getting quite a few people subscribing and commenting now. In video 4, the next video, I think you'll see us strengthen up the back end of the boat, put some new wooden strengthening in, and you're also going to see us extend the transom, because we've bought an outboard, but it's a long shaft outboard and this is a short shaft boat, so we're going to extend the transom. You'll see us doing some fiberglass. I might even do a separate fiberglass video for people that have never fiberglassed before, who's kind of new to it like me, absolute fiberglass basics, but you'll see some in the next video, video 4 anyway. We've also had somebody have a guess at the type of boat, guess wrong, but nevertheless had a guess anyway. So Terry Tompkins 2682 guessed it was a Micro Plus 17. It's not a Micro Plus 17. A good guess though. It is very similar, but it's not, definitely not. They've got like an extra window behind this window here, extra window at the back. But good guess, Terry. Cheers anyway for the shout out. Anybody else knows what it is, I've guessed in the comments. I'll give you a shout out, or we'll definitely respond to you. So if you like the videos, subscribe. Helps I know that you're watching them, and we'll carry on making these videos. Thanks for watching.